Welcome to How to De-Age Your Job Search. I'm glad you're here. It's a lovely Thursday, and what I would like to do for a second here is I would like to say welcome. This is going to be an interesting workshop, even if I do say so myself. I'm going to try to help you figure out different ways you can de-age your job search, starting with the simple resume to how you think. Pretty much some of you have been to many of our workshops. Some of this might be a review for you. Some of you may have gone to Debbie's workshop last week. There may be a little bit of overlap. Some of you are brand new. And for those who are brand new, this is all going to be brand new to you. So there's a lot of ideas that you got to wrap your head around, and that's what we're up to today. Let me also say that at the end of the presentation, for those who are here live, you'll be able to download the presentation so you have a copy of it for yourself. Let me also say that if you came on by telephone and you joined us by telephone only, please put your name and your job seeker ID in the chat box to all panelists. We're going to go over where the chat box is in a minute. I want to tell you, it's kind of interesting. Normally the workshops run, at least most of them, anywhere from 15 to about 30 people. Today we've got over 65 people on board. So is age a problem? Yes. Are there things we can do? Yes. That's what we're going to focus on. We got to let go of it being negative, turn it into positive, see what we can do to change people's opinion. But again, some of it's reality, some of it we can change. So let me go ahead and shut off my camera. And let me tell you that my name is Nancy Quinn, and I am a workshop facilitator here at Mass Higher Metro North Career Center. And what that means is pretty much it's the Cambridge, Chelsea, and Woburn Career Centers. The three of us together, all together, are a composite of the North Shore, Metro North Career Center. That's who we are, okay? I've worked in career services for over 15 years. I never reference anything more than 15 years, and neither should you. Not in a resume, not in the beginning discussions of your job search. We go back 15 years, period. Unless somebody asks specifically. We're going to get into that in a few minutes. I'm in career services at Mass Higher because it's where my passion lies, helping people convey their value, finding employment. I've been in your shoes. I was in a different industry when I got out of college. That industry disappeared. I had to retool myself. I went into a couple of different industries and did not have success, let me put it that way. But I found my way to career services, and again, I am so lucky to be in a place that I love. I'm so fortunate to be here, and I'm glad to be with you. So I've been in your shoes. I've been laid off more than 4 times, and I understand the scary parts of being unemployed, and it's even scarier now in the pandemic. I won't deny that. Absolutely scary as all heck out there. Okay, if you're watching live and you're on a telephone, take a look at, well, if you can, take a look at this slide. It's going to say that at the top, you should see a little icon. And if you click on that little icon, that'll bring you into the chat section. What you want to do is look for the panelists, chat to all panelists. And I say chat to all panelists because of privacy issues. At the bottom, if you're coming in by a PC or a laptop, you want to look at your control panel and look for the word chat. It should be in a round balloon. Looks like a balloon, a quote. And go ahead and click on that. And again, chat to all panelists. That way, I'm sure I get the message and it will be private for you. Now, because there are more than 65 people on here, I may not be able to get to all questions, but I will do my best. So again, I do ask you to chat to all panelists. This is just a visual. We just love these two guys. They're so cute. Now, when you're unemployed, it's nerve-wracking, period. Absolutely nerve-wracking. But if you're unemployed after working somewhere for 30 years, it's mind-blowing. If you're unemployed for the first time in 30 years, it's absolutely mind-blowing. So the thing you have to do first before you panic is prioritize your goals. And everybody says, my goal is to get a job. Hold on. You got to be more specific, and we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk to you about how to update your resume. Your resume should be a reflection of your ability to do the job, not your age. That's what we're going to key into. I'm going to talk about informational interviews. If you've never heard of an informational interview, I'm going to talk about how they could be of value to you and how you do them. We're going to touch base with social media. It's not going anywhere. It's a big part of our job search. You've got to be a part of that. We're going to talk again about the hidden job market and why you may have an extra advantage in the hidden job market as senior people. We're going to talk about networking. Again, because you've been working for such a long time, many of you have a lot of connections. It's time to start using them. We're going to talk about interview questions. How do you get around them? We have a separate interview workshop that Brendan does. It's a great workshop, so we're going to touch on these things. Again, a little bit of everything based on the age factor. So prioritize your goals. Again, the panic response is, I need a job, I got to pay the mortgage, I got to feed the kids, and I believe that is true. However, if you don't choose the right job, you'll be in the same position in 6 months than you are right now. I know that by experience. So what I want you to think is, and again, we've got a whole list we're going to go through. Do you want to add fulfillment to your life? Is that important when you choose a job right now? Are you doing this to add to your retirement funds? Do you want to make a little bit more money so that you'll have higher retirement? Are you bored out of your mind? Are you looking to take a risk and grow, do something totally different? Or are you looking to proceed in a whole new direction because you have to? Your job's gone away. Your job isn't as apparent anymore. Maybe you need to change because you just need to change. You need to think about your financial obligations. We all have them. I actually talked to a person the other day and I felt envious. She said, well, I really don't have to work, but I'd like to do something. Oh, someday when I grow up, I want to be that person. But for right now, what's your obligation? Some people have them, some people don't. You need to think about how much longer you're going to work. Depends on how old you are. I have a separate workshop where we talk about the process of, am I going to retire? What am I going to do next? It's called Unemployed, What Now? Sometimes it's called Unemployed, Now What? Depending on when I remember to do it the right way. So how much time do you have to explore? Do you need a job in 2 weeks? Everybody does, but could you last 3 months if you had to find the right job? You need to sit down and do a budget. We talk about budgets in one of our other workshops as well. What are your deadlines? This is what you have to determine for your own personal self, whether it's the end of unemployment, the end for a mortgage payment, that's a balloon payment that's coming up, some specific event that's occurring. What is your deadline? I always talk about the other half of the day when you're job searching and you take a workshop. I always talk about in the other half of the day doing some of these things we talk about. So tomorrow, since this is the afternoon workshop, sit down and go through these questions, the ones that are appropriate, and write down for you specifically what it's all about. Everything about your job search is a personal assessment. We'd all like to just fly into the next job, but you have to realize what your value is, how to convey your value, and where your value fits. It's a little extra work than it was maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But if you do it, it'll pay off. What I'd like to try to do today is kind of give you a different mindset, open you up to some new ideas, things you might not have thought of before. One thing I'm going to talk about very, very briefly, because we talk about it in the resume class, and that's next week. And we have a resume beyond the basics 2 weeks after that. And we have a cover letter a week after that. So I'm going to show you at the end of the presentation how to get our calendar to see the rest of our workshops. We've got many workshops coming up. Briefly, an applicant tracking system. If you've never heard of it, write it down, do some research. Almost everybody's using them right now. There are very, very big ones. There are small ones. It's software that's used to parse resumes to see if you fit the job or you don't. If you have enough keywords off of the job ad on your resume, you will get a high enough score to continue on in the process. If you don't change your resume, every time you send it out, you probably won't go any further in this procedure. You don't want to use headers, footers, or tables on your resume. You want to tailor every resume to the job ad specifically. And try to avoid PDFs unless they ask for one. Generally speaking, if someone says send it in a PDF, you send it a PDF. If they say send it, generally you should send it in a Word doc. Now the resume, when someone looks at your resume, they shouldn't look at it and go, wow, this person's over 40. And I'm just using that random number right now. You might be over 50, you might be over 60, you've got some people over 70 looking for jobs. The key is when someone looks at your resume, they should see your value, not your age. What you want to do is streamline your resume. You want to go back 15 years, period. We talk about resumes in much more detail again in the resume workshop, so I'm not going to get into anything in detail because we're going to touch on a lot of different topics today. Shake it out and streamline it. Get rid of old terminology. Get rid of jobs that aren't pertinent beyond 15 years. If you have a job that you've been in for 25 years, you have to put that on your resume. If you can break your jobs at somewhere between 10 and 15 years, that's what you should do. In the contact section, you need an email address. Now you need your name. You do not need your street. You need your city. You need your state. You need your zip code. You need your email address. You need one phone number and your LinkedIn address. Now let me focus on email addresses. I notice that some of you have some funny emails, and they're cute and they're funny, but realistically, you want to be careful with that. You really want an email that says nquinnfacilitator@gmail.com, jsmitharchitect@gmail.com. You want to use Gmail. It has the most security on both ends. So you want to use a Gmail account. So put together a new Gmail address for your job search. Don't make reference to hobbies, interests, or family obligations. Your LinkedIn address is vitally important. If you don't know much about LinkedIn, I'm going to talk about it in a minute, so I won't get too much into that right now. You want to put one phone number on your resume, just one. If you put two, it shows that you're over 40. One phone number, whichever phone number is most convenient for you. Now at the top of your resume, if you have an older resume, you might say objective. No one cares. Wink, wink. I don't mean to be gruff, but realistically, in the past, people wanted to know what your objective was. Now they want a summary. They want something that says qualifications, or they want something that says summary. And that summary should be why they should choose you specifically for this job, period. Now, your resume is no longer a list of duties. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. Your resume becomes a list of accomplishments. Utilized interpersonal skills to increase sales by 40% per year. You want to show an accomplishment. My skill, how I increase sales. You want to talk about things you have achieved that relate to the new job. Again, we do more of that discussion. We have a CAR workshop called CAR, Challenge, Action, and Result. We talk about it more in the CAR workshop as well. You want to be sure to put accomplishments. Your bullets should reflect things you have done to prove that you can do the job you're applying for. Now, that might be a new concept for some of you. It might be a repeat for some of you. I can't emphasize enough how important that is in your job search. When you look at your resume, delete old stuff. The words typewriter, typing, stenographer. There are so many keywords that should be updated, so update them so they're current. Take the words off of the job ad. So delete old terms, If you have COBOL on your resume because you were one of the first, get rid of it. No one wants to see that. People should see what you've done in the last 15 years that's appropriate to them. 2 pages is your maximum. Unless you are a CFO, a CEO, 2 pages maximum, and you might have an addendum with your publications and your writing. That would be an addendum that you could supply to them after they look at your resume. Most people look at a resume for 15 to 20 seconds. So that resume should be jammed with things that pertain to right now and why they should pick you. Delete references available upon request at the bottom. That screams out, I'm over 40. Of course you're going to give them references. That's a whole separate topic. Get rid of that phrase off your resume. You don't need it anymore. And here's something I found interesting, one of my newer discovers. You don't want to space twice after a period when you type. It's old school. Can people check? Yes, they can if they want to. So you only do 1 space after a period nowadays. Interesting, but different. One thing I want to mention, please don't use an AOL address. AOL is very outdated. And I know some people say, well, I've had this for 30 years, and that's wonderful. Keep it for your personal stuff. But for your business, you want to stick with Gmail. Okay. If someone mentioned that a PDF can't be changed, and I understand that. The problem is a lot of the applicant tracking systems don't read PDFs. So that would be the reason why someone would say that they prefer that you do a Word doc. Generally, most do not read PDFs, but you don't know. That's the problem. Okay, because you are older than some people, you have a lot of hard skills, and hard skills are things that you've learned along the way. Can you put in the chat some examples of the hard skills that you learned? Someone said, what about sending it in a text format? Generally, they read Word documents, but text would probably go through. Computer, typing, CPA, Microsoft Office Suite, Google, communication, people skills, those are soft skills. Concur, G Suite, QuickBooks. Okay, these are things you can pick up and learn. Those are hard skills. Typing. Again, working with different types of personalities are more a soft skill, but I gotta tell you, it could be on both sides. So that's a good point. Something you want to remember. It doesn't matter if you mention a skill and you say, here's my skill. It doesn't matter if it's hard or soft skills. Does it pertain to the job? Should you include it? That's what you want to think about. Don't worry if it's hard or soft. Worry, does it apply to this job? Hard skills are learned. Think about all along what sets you apart. Soft skills, those are things that you're born with. Are you a leader? Do you communicate well? Well, you can learn to communicate, and some of these go back and forth. But the key is to remember that soft skills and hard skills are both important on your resume. You need to reflect what you've learned that's pertinent to the new job you're going for, and you need to talk about what you bring as far as your natural talents and your natural skills and abilities. Don't forget one or the other on your resume. If you're talking about being a social worker, you're going to have more soft skills. If you talk about being a programmer, you're going to have more hard skills. But somewhere in the middle is where most people are. Please be sure to reflect both on your resume. You have an infinite number of soft skills and hard skills that you've developed over these years. Use them to your advantage. Look at the job ad, whatever appears on the job ad, and you highlight those skills on that resume. Okay, and like I said, soft skills is something you're born with. Some examples people put in: soft skills, organization, communication, problem solving, communication. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for participating. Those are great. Tact. There's one that you'd like to see in an office. Needs some tact, for sure. Problem solving, again, someone said interviewing. That's a soft skill, but you can learn that. You can learn it, so it's kind of both. Although maybe interviewing somebody else, you never know. But if you're good at it, focus on it. Loyalty, focus on it. If it's important to the job, focus on it. I want you to sit down at some point over the next couple of days and write a list of 10 things about yourself that are hard skills and soft skills. And at least once a week, I need you to add to that list. Every week, at least once, if not daily. What are your hard skills? What are your soft skills? Now, something you want to be careful with, again, some people are not comfortable emailing documents. We have people who have just, never worked in an office setting. We have people that were driving trucks. We have people that were landscapers. We have people that never attached a document in their life. So the idea behind this is, for those of you that have never taken a workshop, don't know anything about it, I want you to be careful. I want you to learn, and there's places you can learn. You follow their directions when you email the document. If they say a PDF, you do a PDF. If they say Word, you do Word. You follow their directions. You usually should attach the resume and a cover letter. Now, if they say to you in the directions, no cover letter, then there is no cover letter. If they say, would you like to attach anything else? That's a big trick. They're looking to see if you go the extra mile. Did you attach a cover letter? So whenever given the opportunity, attach a cover letter. Now, if you attach the cover letter and you attach the resume to the email, put an introduction in the body of the email explaining, hello, my name is Nancy Quinn. I've attached my resume and my cover letter. I'm applying for the position as workshop facilitator. You'll find my skills and abilities are a perfect match for this opportunity. Just something brief that says, here I am, here's who I am. This is why you should read the attachments. When you save the resume and you change it so that it matches that particular job ad, when you save the resume, you name it, the company's name and your name. Save the file as Raytheon, IT programmer, Nancy Quinn. IBM, desktop specialist, Nancy Quinn. Name it the company name, the job title, if there's multiple job titles that you might have applied for in one company, and your name. Make sure when you put together the email that you have a very clear, very direct subject line. Don't make it confusing. Put in the job title, the reference number, your name. Make sure your name is there. You want them to see your name everywhere, everywhere. You want to be sure to have a professional email address. I can't tell you how many HR people have told me they get down to the last two choices and they have to pick one or the other. And sometimes, as crazy as it sounds, it might get down to an email address. You have control over the things I'm talking about, so that's why I'm bringing them to your attention. Control them to your advantage. Someone said, how about Comcast.net? You can use it, but again, the safer one would be Gmail. But you can, but just do not use Yahoo, Hotmail, or AOL. The best bet is Gmail. It's better not to use your alumni as well, unless you're a recent graduate. Again, we have a resume workshop next week. We go into it in more detail. Now, something you want to think about that you may not have thought about before, if you've never taken a workshop or you haven't thought about the job search right now, do you have remote skills? Be sure your remote skills are listed on your resume. Have you used Zoom? Have you used WebEx? Yes, you have. Here you are right now on WebEx. Have you used Skype? Have you used GoToMeeting? Have you used Gmail, Gmail Docs, Google Docs? What are other things? Someone said Slack. I don't know what that is, but I say I agree with you. Must be some kind of program. What other things can you use remotely? Go to Webinars one, Microsoft Teams. Someone said Skype's becoming outdated. How about FaceTime, MS Teams? Exactly. WhatsApp, a little more on the fun side, but I would list it if you have multiple things you can put in there. I'd add that too. Think about all of these things. Even if you put a separate section at the bottom saying remote skills and you list 5 of these. So that person said Slack is the new in-company office communication tool. Thank you very much. I learned something today. Again, make a list. You can have a separate section called skills, or you can use throughout the resume, utilize WebEx to bing, bing, bing. Utilize Google Documents to bing, bing, bing. Utilized Microsoft Teams to do this, 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 and this. Talk about it. Mention it. And again, do you have a telepresence? Have you worked remotely from home before? That's the story. Have you worked from home before? You're working right now on a job search. You have extensive experience on an online job search. You can talk about all the online tools you've worked with in your job search and call it a skills section, remote skills. You don't have to refer to the fact that you are in a job search. You can put experienced with, proficient in, and list the different tools that you use. A lot of companies are looking for that right now, and there'll be more and more in the future. Many more in the future. You worked virtually in the past. If you have, highlight it. If you haven't, don't make it up. Are you prepared to work remotely? Put that under skills. Again, a soft skill, problem solver. It might be a hard skill too. Either way, can you solve a problem? Can you manage a project? Can you work autonomously? How's your time management? These are things you have to do when you work remotely that people might be keying into. Watch for these words on the job ad. If you see them on the job ad, you want to repeat them on your resume at least one time. If you see these words on a job ad multiple times, you should use these words multiple times if possible throughout the body of your resume. Again, talk about it. Now, another topic I want you to be open to is networking. And a lot of people that have not been out of work in a long time are very, very nervous about networking. Most people are getting jobs through other people. The bad news is 85% of people that get jobs right now get them through other people. You know a lot of other people. You need to branch out to other people. You need to branch out to past contacts, past and further past. You need to do online networking. We're going to talk about LinkedIn in a minute. You have more contacts than these young whippersnappers do. So again, utilize that network that you can use. More often, you know what you want. So more often than not, you can talk to people about a focused subject of what you're looking to do. You can talk about skills. You can talk about knowledge and abilities. You have a great mixture of hard and soft skills. You're accomplished and professional. You're not desperate. Remember that line. You are accomplished and professional, not desperate. Please see the distinction there. Something that you might want to do is develop an elevator speech. Again, we have a workshop that includes elevator speeches in more detail, and all of these topics that I touch upon, you can Google them. Elevator speech for job search. Watch a couple of videos, read a couple of articles. An elevator speech is basically 15 to 30 to 45 seconds about you. Hello, my name is Nancy Quinn. I'm a workshop facilitator at Mass Higher Metro North. I've developed and delivered hundreds of webinars on multiple platforms, including WebEx, GoToWebinar, GoToMeeting. I've delivered successful and supportive material to hundreds of job seekers. I can bring this skill to your company and assist you in your placement rates. I can assure you I will be a definite benefit to your company. And you could keep going if you have more time to say how. But the elevator speech is brief. Someone said, I've been out of work for 16 weeks, just landed a job. I held out for what I wanted and I got it thanks to these webinars. Thank you so much. Hey, do me a favor, send me the details. I want to find out where you're working and all that good stuff. Isn't that great news? Someone said they waited 16 weeks and held out for what they wanted because she knew her value. She knew her value and she's listening. That is fantastic news. People saying, congratulations, glad to hear it, great news. Always share stuff like that. Congratulations. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Now, something that she said, she got the job because she waited for what she wanted, so she was able to speak to her accomplishments. Someone else said the webinar helped me to sell myself. That's it. You need to know what you can do. You need to sit down and write it out, even though you might not want to. You want to develop those things called CAR and PAR statements. We have a separate workshop on CAR statements. I keep saying it because I know people miss a lot of things that I say by the questions that I get. So sometimes I repeat things and you think, why does she keep saying that? But that's why. You need to know your value. You need to be able to convey your value. That's where the elevator speech comes in. You can practice your elevator speech in networking events. You can practice your elevator speech by recording yourself, doing it with your people who you live with, doing it on the phone with friends. Heck, do it on the phone with enemies if you have to. Practice out loud. Practice out loud. So again, take it as accomplishments that you've got. You can say, I'm 67, I'm old. Or you can say, I'm 67, I'm unique. I have a tremendous amount of experience, and I'm going to find the right connection. To the person that got the job, no one knows what your name is. Can I ask you to tell me how old you are if you don't mind sharing that? I have a feeling it's going to make people feel good. If you don't mind saying it. Oh, a couple of people got jobs. More people got jobs. I just said the person that got the job. How old are you? And I know the name of that person. That's who I'm looking for. Someone said, woo, woo, woo. Good answer. Good answer. All right. We'll pass up on the age right now. People are getting jobs. Now, as people say, I don't want to network, I'm shy. I don't want to network, I'm embarrassed, I'm unemployed. I don't want to network, it sounds like torture. It sounds like the 7th grade dance. I went to the 7th grade dance and I stood in the corner by myself. Networking is going to be like that. Doesn't have to be. If you have an elevator speech in your mind and you go into a room online and someone says, Nancy, introduce yourself. I've got it written down right in front of me. Don't be shy, don't be ashamed. Reach out. 57 to 80% of people get hired via networking. You need to network with people you just used to work with, and you need to network with people you worked with 20, 30, 40 years ago. You don't know where they are right now. You need to network via LinkedIn. LinkedIn, we have a networking workshop. We have a LinkedIn couple of workshops. You want to get on LinkedIn. You want to connect with people that you know. You want to connect all throughout LinkedIn. You want to join groups on LinkedIn. You want to participate on groups on LinkedIn. You want to have a personal blog maybe, or follow other people's personal and professional blogs that relate to your industry. Go to networking groups that are virtual. Talk to friends, former coworkers, family, and again, enemies. Talk to everybody about jobs. There's an active network, a support group that you might want to Google. There are many, many meetup groups that are around job search. Check your local area and check by industry. Look for networking groups in Acton for administrative assistants. Someone said that networking is the best way to get a job in this climate. If people know you and know how you work in your industry, they'll want to hire you as an employee. They're going to want to know about you character-wise. They can read your resume, but they want someone to speak to you. Someone said I was laid off 3 years ago for the first time, and I'm laid off again, and I'm embarrassed to network. Can you imagine how many people are in the same position as you? Personally, I was in the position 4 times, and a couple of them were less than 3 years apart. This happened to you, not because of you. You're laid off because something happened that you had no control over. It's not something to be ashamed about. It's something that you want to get out of. Other people are saying, don't be embarrassed. You've got to talk to people. People are going to get you a job. Someone says here, I was laid off 6 years ago. Here we go again. You are not alone. And that's what's happening right now, folks. You might have been laid off once in your life. You might have been laid off 15 times. Regardless of how often you're laid off or when you were last laid off, networking is going to open up invaluable job tools for you. Someone else had their job eliminated 3 times, but yet she's here. She's smart enough and motivated enough to be here getting the information she needs to move to the next step. You're all here. You all should pat yourselves on the back for being here. It's not easy. Okay, so networking is going to be really important. Again, let go of embarrassment, let go of shyness. If you have to practice out loud your speech, practice it out loud. If you have to write it down in front of you, practice it. We have a job fair on the 10th of February. You can set things up at the job fair so you can talk to companies, and you can use your elevator speech to talk to them, to explain who you are very briefly as an introduction. Before you go to a virtual job fair, you should have an elevator speech developed. So take a look at our calendar. I'll show you how to look at that when we get to the end. We have a job fair coming up on February 10th. It's a chance for every single person in this group to practice their elevator speech on somebody. Practice on family, friends, coworkers, previous coworkers, everybody. Informational interviews were a little bit different. Someone said, will there be notifications about these affairs? Affairs, listen to me. They're actually on the calendar. You actually have to keep checking the calendar, unfortunately. We generally try to have one of those a month. We have other things as well. So keep an eye on our calendar. Every other day or so, take a look. Usually everything's put on a couple of weeks ahead of time, but I would say take a good look every couple of weeks, every week or so. Informational interview. And that's why I mention it during the workshops in case people don't. Informational interviews. Some people say, I've never heard of them. What are you talking about? I go to an interview to get a job. What about going to an informational interview to get information about a company, to find out more about the inside scoop? As it says here, informational interviews are conducted to collect information about a job, information about a career field, an industry, or a company. It's not a job interview. Instead, it's an opportunity to speak with a person working in a field that you like to know. You'd like to know them, to be inside that company as a contact. You'd also like to know more about how they got there. I'm going to show you what else you can ask. When you are asking someone for an informational interview, be direct. Have your information set up uptime, up front. Be sure to set a time limit for the interview and stick to it. People's time is very, very precious right now. If someone says, yes, I'll do an informational interview with you for 15 minutes, don't take advantage. Stick to 15 minutes. How do you ask for an informational interview? You ask. If you've been referred by someone, you might want to send an email to the person saying that Joe Houle has referred me for an informational interview. Joe worked with you 5 years ago, said you'd be a great person to talk to in Raytheon regarding the company in general. I'm looking for more information. You tell them you'd like to hear about their career and their experience working at IBM. You could say, I'm looking into making connections in the field. You're not looking for a job, you're looking to connect to someone. The first level of networking can be an informational interview. Do some research, watch a couple of videos. Questions to ask in the informational interview. You might ask, what steps besides meeting the education and experience requirements are necessary to break into this company? What steps other than what I already have would be beneficial for me to get for this occupation? Is there a particular exam I need? Is there someone else I should interview with? Is there a union membership? And when I say interview with, I mean informational interviews. Of course, you're going to interview with somebody else to get a job, but are there other people you should talk to in the industry or in that company that can help you with another informational interview? Ask them what the type of duties are that they perform in a typical day, week, or month. What's the main or most important characteristic for people who are successful in that field? What are the different salary ranges? What are the satisfying aspects of your work? What are the toughest problems and decisions with which you have had to cope as an employee here at Raytheon? Again, you can Google questions to ask in an informational interview. You want to ask them, how did they get there? How long have they worked there? What do they like about their job? How long have they been in the industry? Have them talk about themselves. You're trying to make a connection. When there's an opening in 2 weeks, 2 months, you might send them a quick email telling them that you have applied. Stay in touch with them. After your informational interview, make sure you send them a thank you. Ask them if it's okay to stay in touch. Just send once a month. Just checking in, want to see how you're doing. It's snowing again. Pretty soon the flowers will be out. You send a little message to say hello. Think about informational interviews. If there's a company you're particularly interested in, if you go on LinkedIn and you see that there are people you're connected to, approach them. If you see there are people you're connected to on LinkedIn or any other way that know people in certain companies, try to get an informational interview to find out more about the company. It shows interest. It shows that you think outside the box. So here's something you could say. Hey, I'm exploring opportunities in nonprofit fundraising in Boston. As you can see from the attached resume, I've had considerable experience creating and leading successful marketing programs in Worcester. John thought you'd be a good source of information about the marketing scene in Boston, upcoming jobs in the field, and other people I might contact. I'm hoping you might have 15 to 30 minutes to meet with me in the next few weeks. Please let me know if this might be possible and what dates and times are convenient for you. I look forward to hearing from you. Now, again, you would explain who John was before you got to this point. Start off with, having been referred to you by John Houle, I'm in touch because I'm exploring opportunities in nonprofit fundraising in Boston. This is how you approach someone for an informational interview. You're not talking about a job specifically, you're talking about the industry. Okay, moving right along. We're touching on a lot. Someone said, are thank you notes sent via email or snail mail? Email. Email, especially what you've been doing all along. Someone said, I used to refer to that as cold calling. This isn't so much cold calling. Well, it is on the phone, absolutely. You're coming in person when you meet them, and you have an appointment to meet them, but you're right, you're cold calling for the opportunity. Someone said, set up a coffee chat by connection or LinkedIn. Absolutely. Talk to people, get out of the house. Don't sit in the house, especially in the pandemic. Get out when you can. Go out, get on your phone, and call somebody while you're walking by yourself. Stay 6 feet away. Do informational interviews over the phone. Now, I keep talking about LinkedIn. What I need you to do is to be aware that social media is vital in this time and age. If you are not into any of this ruh-roh, you're in trouble. It's time to start thinking about getting connected with social media. I'm going to assume everybody here is moderately connected, if not more. So be aware of what's current. Be aware of the different ways people are communicating. Use Google to explore different things. If you heard 5 terms today that you weren't comfortable with, or 5 terms in the next 10 minutes, write them down and Google them. Google all kinds of questions that you want to know. Google your resume. Google questions for an interview. Google good questions for an interview. Google bad questions for an interview. Google questions for an administrative assistant interview. Someone says, now that you've discussed many times, I know that you've discussed many times, but my current job is 26 years. Do I completely eliminate previous jobs even though they are relevant? You can list a separate section underneath your job that says related experience. List those older jobs, but leave the dates off. List what is current at the top, and underneath call it related experience. Here we go. Someone said there's a new place to search, DuckDuckGo. I love it. I love it. Okay, blogs. Check out blogs. There's a new site. If you're looking for something in retail, there's a new site called JobGet, JOBGET, and they have blogs with all kinds of information on how to get jobs in retail and that type of job. Twitter is becoming big. We have a workshop on Twitter. Be careful what you tweet. Remember that you're creating an image on the internet. You are creating an image on the internet. Do not tweet things that people can hold against you. Clean up your image. Email, again, clean up your email account. Clean up your email address. LinkedIn, make sure it's up to date. You should go on LinkedIn at least once a week and change a couple of words on there for up-to-date current terminology. LinkedIn, take some of the workshops. All of the career centers have workshops on LinkedIn. You might want to develop what's called a personal page. People say, well, what's a personal page? Where can you go to find out what a personal page is? Google. Is there anything else that you might do socially? We've got DuckDuckGo. Anything else that people can go to use that you can think of to put into the chat? Instagram, sure, if it's appropriate for your industry. You got to think about your industry. Is it appropriate in the industry? Sometimes it will be, sometimes it won't be. But check out these different topics. If you don't know anything about Twitter, make that your job for tomorrow is to learn about Twitter. If you're not concerned about LinkedIn and you never have been and you got to start, please start tomorrow to look at LinkedIn. People say if you're not on LinkedIn, you don't count in the professional world. You should join groups on social media that pertain to your industry, write articles for medium.com, and seek out other places to publish. Excellent. Get yourself known. Speak up and speak out. Now here again, I want to mention LinkedIn. I'm going to go over this kind of quick because again, we have LinkedIn workshops that get into it much more detail. But remember that recruiters and hiring managers use LinkedIn more and more every day to find candidates. They do a keyword search. And the keywords are industry terms that are current in the industry that you see on job ads. Be sure your account has lots of industry-specific keywords. Get them from the job ads. Delete old terms like secretary, DOS. Use new terms. Where do I find them? In the job ad. Get endorsements and recommendations. Again, if you're not clear on what those are, Google LinkedIn endorsement versus recommendation. Follow any company you apply to. Any company. If you're going to apply to a company, you need to go on LinkedIn. You need to find their LinkedIn account and follow them. Join groups in your specialty area, your industry, and be sure to participate in those to be seen, to be noticed, to be recognized as someone in the industry. You've got to get the word out. You are looking for a job. Got to get the word out. The hidden job market is something that you have an advantage. Companies right now are overwhelmed with applicants. So what many companies are doing now is they're trying to find people through their employees and their contacts. Instead of putting something on Indeed and getting 1,000 resumes, a lot of companies are telling their employees about openings, asking for referrals. Many companies are offering referral fees because they just don't want to spend the time going through 500 applications, especially if there's more than one job open at a time. What is considered current information? Terminology off of the job ad. Things like typewriter would be old. Things like DOS is old. Current would be in your industry. What are all the ads showing? What do the articles show? When you go on the website of the company you're looking to look at, what kind of terms are they using on their website? What kind of terms are being used in articles that you're reading? You want to see what's in the industry. You want to shake out old information and replace it with current information like that. Things that are current right now. Personally, I was a travel agent 20 years ago. Not current, not on my resume. Nothing about it except for my customer service skills are on my resume. It's replaced by other things that are more important that I've done since then. Look for companies that are expanding. That's the thing you want to do. What companies are expanding in your area, in your industry, in the physical geographical area that you're in? Where can you look up companies? You can look them up on LinkedIn. You can look them up in the Boston Business Journal. You can look them up in Glassdoor. Where else can you research companies? Anybody have any? Someone said Amazon is expanding. Absolutely. Amazon is expanding all over. And when they expand with their drivers, they also have to expand with their accounting people. It's not all just drivers. It's administrative jobs. As they get bigger, they're going to need to fill a lot of different jobs. Where can you look up information for unadvertised jobs? Someone said Indeed, but those are advertised. They're on Indeed. Where can you look for company names that you never knew about? How about the Yellow Pages? Look for things in your city and your town and go investigate them. There's all kinds of places you can look. LinkedIn contacts, see where other people have worked. Now be ready for this whole adventure. Have long-term goals and short-term goals. Have them both. We all know what your long-term goal is. You want to get a job. What's your short-term goal? Well, I'm going to work on my LinkedIn. I'm going to clean up my Facebook account. I'm going to write down my list of hard and soft skills. Make those your short-term goals. Every afternoon, I'm going to watch another video about subject A, subject B, subject C. When you have long and short-term goals, you may be asked in the interview, what are they? It reflects loyalty, ambition, and commitment. Ensure that you highlight your goals and achievements when you're talking with people. Be sure to show how your individual achievements fit the goals of the company that you're dealing with. Tie your goals and your achievements to the job description you're going for. Make sure they see. Someone mentioned doing a lot of informational checking up in the Boston Public Library at the Kirstein Business section. Boston Public Library has amazing workshops on job search too. Look up BPL, bostonpubliclibrary.org. They have resources that are invaluable there. Thank you for sharing that. The problem with these hour workshops is we only have an hour. Okay, I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna go faster. I apologize. This is the first time I've run this all the way through with all this information. Looks like I might have too much. On the interview, when should you get there? What should you wear? Should you have gray hair? How do you follow up on the interview? Well, what about when to get there? 10, 15 minutes ahead of time. What should you wear? Current clothing, not the black suit you wear to every funeral. Sorry, guys. You want to wear something that's current. You can go to Goodwill. You can go to Salvation Army. You can go to Savers. You can find all kinds of clothes that are in excellent shape. There's all kinds of places to get clothes. Gray hair. If you have gorgeous, thick, wavy gray hair and it looks wonderful, I would say leave it alone. Maybe you would ask a couple of people you know, should I color my hair? Personally, I always do, but that's me. It's up to you to think it through. Maybe you never thought about the gray in your beard. Should I color it? Ask people around you what they think. Dress for success, someone put in. That's fantastic. Thank you. I'm telling you, I could run 3 hours on this. How to follow up on the interview. Be sure at the end of the interview you get everybody's contact information. Everybody. Ask them. Ask them to spell it for you. Ask them so you can write it out. Make sure you send a thank you note to everyone. I'm working on a new workshop that we're trying to develop for references and thank you notes, how to pull those together. So that's coming up, I don't know when. It's in the works. But again, thank you notes are vital. If you interview with 5 people, you need to send 5 different thank you notes. Different thank you notes, 1 to each person. They will compare them. Within 24 hours, you send some thank you notes. I don't know why I'm having mouse trouble. Tough questions over 50. Google it. We're running out of time. Again, I apologize. I've got so much to tell you about. But what are tough questions and answers over 50 for jobs in IT? Be ready for questions like, will it be hard to work with someone younger than you? Well, no. I'm energized by young people. I like to share what I've learned, and I like to continue to learn. How have you kept your skills fresh while you've been out of work? Talk about setting up a home office. Someone said I set up a home office. How do I put that on there? Literally put in, set up a home office including local area network, whatever is included in that office. Write it down as an additional skill. How old are you? They shouldn't ask, but they might. And if they do, you might say, does it really pertain to the job? I'm just curious. Now, someone might think that's a lousy answer. You may not get the job, but do you want to work there? Another question, will this position be challenging enough for you? Absolutely. This is where my passion lies. I've been working on A, B, and C, and I find that every time I work on these projects, I get more and more out of them. So those are some tough questions. Again, do some Googling. Check out some tough questions and their answers for your industry. Okay, I'm going to skip this because you're going to have this. This is just a thank you in an email. I don't love it. It's okay. It's good. But again, has too many I's in it, in my opinion. But someone said, print this one, put it in. Let's use this one. So we had a fight and I lost. It's not bad. Just knock off the I's. Okay, so you'll be getting this in a few minutes. I got to hurry up and give it to you. How old are you? Is it legal? No. Again, more questions that people might ask of you. You can read this again when you get the slide. Upgrade your skills. Here's 3 places you can go to upgrade your skills. The one in the middle is free. The one on each end costs money. The one on the right you can get sometimes for free. Take a look at the slides when you get them and Google, go into these in a little more detail. Looks like we're going to have to make this an hour and a half next time. Talking about salary, be flexible and confident. Know your value. Do research. ONET Online, Bureau of Labor Statistics, Glassdoor. Establish your bottom line salary. Before you talk to anybody, never give them the lowest figure. Brendan runs a salary negotiation workshop that is outstanding. So again, I'm not going to go over these because the last one is the one that I think people never are prepared for. Would you be comfortable making less money? Think about that. and take his workshop. So here's a review. Be current, showcase relevant accomplishments, be unique. Let people know what's unique about you. Be social media savvy, be flexible, streamline the past. We're going to run a few minutes over. I'm sorry, but we're running just a little bit over. So hang in there, and I'm going to get this up so that you'll be able to download this presentation. Here's some great resources. Take some time to look at these. There are a lot of resources here. There's information about age discrimination. There's information about salaries and all kinds of information in here. Make tomorrow afternoon your afternoon to go through this. There's an article here on the hard and soft skills. Take a look at each one of these. I put them in because they're going to make your life easier. Here's some more. Here's where you can get our calendar. Again, I'm going to help you download this so that you'll be able to get it. We have a YouTube channel. I'm actually going to shut this off right now. I'm recording this, but I'm going to say thanks to everybody joining us on YouTube. See you later. And we're going to shut that down. Bye.